Doom, 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 doom. Doom, 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 doom.
Developer interviews.
Hello, my name is Neil Ticktin. I'm the editor-in-chief and publisher of MacTech magazine. These are the TUAW MacTech interviews with developers to talk about OS X Mavericks and iOS 7 and some of the new features that are coming out and how that impacts their product and also what they're up to. And we're looking forward to talking to them. With me now is Barry Kaplan from Jawfish Games. Thank you for coming. Thank you for joining us in here.
Thanks for having me.
Why don't we start off with, okay, so we're starting to hear some information now about iOS 7 and of course OS X Mavericks. What were the favorite things that you're seeing coming out of this? What are the favorite new features that you see?
My favorite features from iOS 7 are going to be SpriteKit and the controller SDK that Apple's talking about. The thing that this really says to me is that Apple's starting to treat games more first-class citizen than they were before. I like how there's going to be a game development platform within the Apple ecosystem, so we don't have to rely on some of the more external sources, which can be problems.
Cool. Now, for those that don't really understand what SpriteKit is, why don't you tell them a little bit about
SpriteKit is Apple's publishing an API so that game developers can write games that are native Objective-C, that are very low level in terms of how it interacts with the hardware. And since Apple controls the whole ecosystem from hardware to software, they can do lots of optimizations to make sure that things are running as smooth as possible.
And so SpriteKit is really, from the graphics point of view, is where the biggest impact would come in, or are you seeing
right? Well, SpriteKit itself is just going to be more. The impact that I see more is just a shift from Apple's perspective, in terms of how they're dealing with games.
Got it.
So games are now they're embracing controllers being embraced by Apple, which is something that says Apple wants people to start playing games on these things, which previously wasn't as well received.
As the success started to go, that changed their mind very quickly.
It did.
Jawfish, tell us a little bit about what you guys are doing now.
So Jawfish, we have one app. We have one app that we've produced out on the App Store, as well as we produced an app which is poker, as well as an app that we produced in partnership with Big Fish Games called Matchup. All of our apps revolve around there being a multiplayer tournament style system. So we have games that are fast to play. 30 seconds to 60 seconds, you're in, you're out, and you're always playing against anywhere from 2 to 100 people in real time. And so that's what we're going for. We're going for, it's always more fun to play against other people, not a lot of fun to play by yourself. So that's what we're going for.
Got it. So the new announcements that you see coming, how does that more directly impact where Jawfish would be going with some of the games?
Well, some of the things that we're going to do immediately, so we have a new version coming out soon that will be that will allow you to play poker again in private tournaments, so that if we're all sitting together in a room, we can bring up the poker game on our apps and we can all share a code with each other, so we can immediately start playing. One of the things that I liked is the AirCloud share feature in iOS 7, because we'll be able to rely on that to, as we're sitting we can share the game with people, and automatically everybody's poker app will just pop up and we'll be in a private tournament with each other.
Cool. What other, outside of the sprites and the controller side of things, is there anything else you saw in iOS 7, or Mavericks for that matter, that you really were into?
Well, there's definitely a lot in. So Mavericks has the dual screen control, which I know as a developer I use quite a bit. In iOS 7, there's the flat design. I'm going to have to play with it a bit to see how much I like it, but there's certainly a lot of cleanliness that has been added in terms of the control center, the multitasking, and the way that you can organize your apps, and the cleanliness and the physics that they've added.
Do you see that being something that you will have to address in your apps, as far as cleaning it up in order to meet the standards that Apple's laying out for their own interface?
Well, with games, there's not as much standards from Apple's perspective, because they rely on the game developers to know how their users can interact.
It's mostly on the very front door part of it.
So I mean, we always try to pay attention to Apple standards in terms of what the user is expecting and how the user is expecting to interact with their phone. So a lot of what Apple goes for in their human interface is a element of using the device as if it were a real object. Making sure that if something looks like a physical object, that you treat it like a physical object within the device. And our poker game in particular, we very much focus on making it look, you're at a table, you're sitting there with your cards, and it looks like that. It doesn't look, there's no avatars, there's no fictitious element to it, so you kind of feel like you're right in the action.
Exactly. Great. Well, Barry, thank you for coming and joining us. My name is Neil Ticktin. These are the TUAW MacTech interviews with developers talking about iOS 7 and OS 10 Mavericks. Thanks for listening.